Test, test, test. Okay, back again. Another live stream broadcast or podcast or whatever that is. So basically, I have already tried to do a good behavior recording as usual, but not as long as what I usually try to do in, I don't know, last week perhaps, I'm not sure. So, but it is already twice longer than my recording in this week. So yeah, in the unintentional free time, I guess, yesterday or the day before yesterday. So yeah, because I don't know, because I basically miss when I need to stop the recording, so I decided to twice the duration, even though if you talk about the longest good behavior recording that I ever done is actually 3 times than what I try to do the shortest one, or what I try to do in early this week. So yeah, but I don't know whether the this live stream is gonna be twice as well or not, because yeah, I basically don't have so many things to say, even though I basically have so many videos that I basically need to do with the pre-recorded Animoji. But yeah, I don't know, it's basically will not be enough, because technically the weekly scheduled or the monthly scheduled free time is kind of try to be ways just for going into my favorite e-commerce physical store to buy something that's basically not necessary, but yeah, it's pretty cheap, so I just try to refresh myself, try to fulfill my desire in cheapest way as possible, including refresh my mind, just seeing around the city in the trip going into those places, even though it's basically not that far, but there's a lot of traffic jam obviously. And yeah, the current condition of the city is actually pretty bad in terms of the pollution, so you barely see the sunlight or even the clouds, so it's like gloomy all the time, which is a little bit good in terms of the heat perhaps, but yeah, it's definitely unhealthy to breathe without a mask probably outside. So that's the reason why I basically still try to use masks, even though the pandemic is most likely already considered over by most of the people, because yeah, that's the reason why the pollution is also increased very bad, since yeah, most of the people is already returned to the work from the office perhaps, unlike the pandemic, which basically most of them are still working from home. So yeah, that's probably one of the reason, even though there is some weird factors that basically come from very far away from the city, which I just don't understand why. Maybe because the flow of the air is currently pointing into the central city, into the downtown. I don't know. Much different than when it is still during when it is operating during the pandemic. Even though yeah, some of the industries definitely kind of like suspended during the pandemic, since yeah, the restriction is actually for some of the factory workers to stay at home as well in the very first of the pandemic, more than 3 years ago, I guess. So yeah, that's the reason why at some point, I don't know, it's gonna be getting worse or it can be better when people are starting to working from home again. I don't know whether it will be implemented or not because yeah, for some reason any kind of effect that basically makes them unhealthy is actually in a long term. So yeah, it's not as toxic as like a poisonous gas, but yeah, it still basically affect your health in the long term. So probably reduce so many life expectation. I don't know, pretty big. Even though, yeah, if you talk about even the virus or during the pandemic, most people still think that people will never can predict how long that they basically still alive in this world. But at some point, people can die in the stupid ways because of their own fault. So yeah, that's the reason why. And what else that I basically want to talk about? So I don't know. So I basically try to utilize my desire as cheap as possible, even though next week's more than a week is gonna be another refill, even though yeah, it's already been several months that I basically try to reduce my expenses, monthly expenses, as slow as possible because yeah, I try to avoid any kind of my desire that turn into a rabbit hole. Since yeah, when I basically try to sell it again, it's also much harder than what I basically tried to bought it. So that's the reason why I don't know whether if I basically want to try, I can try to negotiate very badly to several things, just like what I basically need to reduce the things that I basically sell over and over again in order to make them finally sold. So it's still 8 minutes. I don't know what else that I basically wanted to do. So basically, I already tried to prepare the 7 episode of the Native Language Podcast. Even though for the next 2 weeks, even though the previous season is basically end next week at the beginning of next week, so I basically still have so many gap before I need to prepare for another session. Even though yeah, I basically still wanted to do one episode perhaps for the next 2 seasons, since yeah, basically preparing 7 episodes in a very short time is pretty annoying, especially when I still need to spend for around 10 minutes for each of the episodes. So more than 1 hour for preparing a single session that only lasts for around 2 weeks. Even though yeah, it's still far from enough in order to finally, I don't know, suppress the SEO or the YouTube algorithms, because yeah, I finally tried to upload my karaoke videos in the short video platforms, which should have more attraction. And yeah, it turns out it's basically have a pretty good attraction, almost similar like I don't know, fake attraction in the mobile karaoke application, which I just don't know whether it is actually really true or not. But if it is actually really true, then the attraction is pretty similar to what I experience in this short video platform, even though it's basically only relate to the like of the videos. So it's still not increase any followers at all. Even though, yeah, maybe because I don't know, maybe it's basically a pretty common thing or pretty easy thing to do, and basically my voice is also not that special, so that's the reason why maybe people only like the video because it's probably unique than what they usually see. But yeah, they basically not really interested. So yeah, oh well, I basically try to be grateful, and probably I will try to utilize my other channel in those short video platform, which is TikTok. But yeah, sadly, I cannot maintain in a single computer or single device or single browser because yeah, I just don't get it why they don't try to support multiple account in the browser. Probably because they still kind of like focus on mobile application just like many other Chinese application, including the karaoke app, which is pretty weird because even for the karaoke that was not created in China originally, it's still pretty focused on mobile application. So when you try to open the web from your browser, it's just have lack of features. So that's the reason why it's pretty tricky if I basically wanted to download my audio from those account in those several karaoke mobile application, because I basically need to inspect the public links, which is, yeah, it's gonna be takes a while unless I basically can able to create some sort of automation from the programming perspective, which is basically need more a while to create. So yeah, I think I will try to end this stream perhaps because I basically need to do several things to take a rest for a while, because yeah, even though yeah, there's definitely no people listening to this live stream. So if in the future there is finally some people try to listen to this video footage, to this archive, so I basically try to satisfy myself for not doing anything. So doing a productivity things is basically make me a little bit satisfied, because yeah, for some reason I just don't know how can I basically make more money, even though I basically already pretty fortunate all this time. But yeah, I just want to be better. So that's the reason why creating something like this is basically make me feel better, even though I'm not actually better in terms of other point of view. Perhaps when you always try to compare certain people's based on what they can achieve